school has become so successful that 3 classrooms is no longer enough to hold the amount of kids. So we need to actually double the school size.
Welcome everybody to Snack on That, a podcast which has more than a morsel to it, with my fellow presenters, Gwyn.
Borada.
And Gavin.
Guten Tag.
Okay, so Welsh and... Was that German?
German, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
it was German. And
exactly.
Jambo, which is Swahili. So, in the episode today, Gavin has a 16th century aphrodisiac. You may, if you're looking at this on YouTube, you'll be able to see that.
Which we need a fork for.
We've also got a superb interview, a real life story from survival to significance by one of our number called Denise. Thanks for that, Gav, as he chews on we'll agree what that is later that you've taken out of that jar.
It's just improved my libido.
Yes,
hugely.
Indeed. First of all, I can't believe Gavin is going to walk. Oh, he's going to walk about. Sorry.
A walkabout.
Yes.
A walkabout.
I
I'm
can't.
Australian,
Yes, we're not in Australia. I can't believe
Good
you're
day,
going to...
viewers. I'm going on a walkabout.
So, Gav, tell us about this. You're going to walk from coast to coast.
Yes, not Australian coast to coast, because that would be 3,000 miles across the desert. But
Test your Lancashire accent. There.
yes, I don't know how to do it. It's Cumbrian accent. Because we're starting on the Irish Sea.
On the Irish Sea. That'd be clever.
Actually, yeah, on the Irish Sea. Because
Surfing?
surfing, the starting point is you grab a pebble from the beach. From the beach outside St. Bees Head.
Okay.
And you take that pebble from that beach to the beach at Robin Hood's Bay on the North Sea. The total distance is about 200 miles. Takes about 2 weeks to do it, 13 days. And we're doing it to raise funds for a school for orphans in Zambia. So that's the reason for it. But some of the things along the way is that because, as you probably know, readers, there are mountains. Readers,
there are mountains
in the way, and valleys, and rivers.
Yes, indeed.
The total height that you cover in all the ups and downs is about the same as Everest.
So,
okay.
You're now 60.
This is true.
Indeed.
But I wish you hadn't told the listeners that.
Yeah.
Because, yes.
A couple of years ago,
I had a heart attack, yes. So it was a pretty serious heart attack. It was pretty close to death. And I kind of, having recovered from that and got my health back and dropped my body weight and all the rest of it, thought that this would be a really good thing to mark my 60th birthday, which was a couple of months or so ago. So, yeah, personal challenge as well. And we've got friends joining us on the walk as we go across. Really looking forward to it and getting into lots and lots of preparation and exercise now to do it.
Yeah, so some people go on a cruise when they're 60, Gav, and some people, go and do some wonderful experience for themselves. This is very unselfish, if you don't mind me saying. You're thinking of other people here. What drew you to actually want to do this?
I think I would differ from you, Chris. I think this is entirely selfish. This is something I wanted to do. Yes. In fact, there was no real consultation with anybody else, including my wife. It was, I will be doing this walk.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's just a bit on my sort of top 10 list of things to do before I die. And yeah, as I can't.
So, I don't want to bring it up, Dad, but it looks pretty tough, some of that. Some of the terrain and what you're doing.
Yeah, there's an interesting section between Patterdale and Shap. It's 15.5 miles. And the guidebook I've got says that at the end of this, you will actually curse the name of Wainwright, because it was Arthur Wainwright who invented this entire walk. And it's so tough on that section that, if you get through that, you'll do the whole walk.
So what training are you in for this?
So go to the gym regularly, at least once or twice a week.
Do you do anything at the gym?
No, I just sit there and watch other people doing stuff. But that's pretty hard work.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then we're walking quite a bit in the local countryside, getting up the mileage, 5-10 mile walks, that kind of thing.
And are you going to be like men in lycra in what you're wearing?
Oh, yeah,
like
keep it minimal. I'm going to be smelly because we're going to... this is the thing. You pack light, very light.
Okay.
1 or 2 pairs of pants, 1 or 2 T-shirts, that's it.
So you're not into shaving your legs, just to get some aerodynamics in there?
No, that's not me. I think you need the hair to keep you warm up on those...
Okay, and how many people do you think might join you on the walk?
Well, I've got commitments already from about 4 or 5, including our head of marketing, and Media, who's going to join me for a couple of days and do some outside broadcasts on that. So people
there may be a little bit of video in the podcast.
Well, yeah, there should be. Also, people will be able to follow it because we're doing live broadcasting as we walk along.
Perfect. And what if people want to get involved? Either come with you or
Well, the best way is to connect through our website, and you can sponsor me through that as well. So that's feedthehungry.org.uk. When you go on the homepage, it will lead you directly through to a donations page. If you actually want to come and walk with me, then email me at gavin@feedthehungry.org.uk. And the walk is between Saturday the 18th of May and Thursday the 30th, I think, of May.
Now, there is a warning sign that you now walk like a roadrunner.
Yes, most people can't keep up with me, including my wife. We went out for a walk on Monday, and she was sort of half a mile behind me by the time we got to the end. She's
good relationship.
Good relationship. Yeah. We had a great talk while we were out.
And no arguments at all.
No arguments at all. No.
Fantastic. Okay, so if you're interested, as I'm sure you are, in what Gavin's doing to provide to raise money for the school in Zambia, please have a look at our website, find the links and the descriptions that will be in the podcast. All right, thank you very much, Gav. So you're going to be doing Coast to Coast, but where's Gwyn been?
Yeah, I've been in Zambia.
Zambia?
At the orphanage.
At the orphanage, where we're going to be building 3 more classrooms.
Which is what we're raising the money for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull back a minute. Where is Zambia?
Zambia, well, it's the other side of the equator.
Okay.
In Africa.
Yeah.
So just down from Uganda. So it's a very central, it's landlocked.
Right.
So it's next to Zimbabwe, Tanzania.
Going to test you now. Population size?
That's a good test. That's a good test.
Gav's just looking it up.
There we
go.
Good.
Yeah. So where in Zambia are you? I mean, I know Zambia for things like copper and stuff, but are you anywhere near that?
Copper. No, we're actually more central, just lower down from Lusaka. Lusaka is very central. And then
what's the land like? What would I find if I went there?
It's hilly. It's like rolling hills.
Green desert. What is it?
It can be green when it rains, but the big problem is it hasn't been raining.
Oh my goodness!
So I can answer your population question now. It's 20,216,029.
Thanks very much.
That's right.
30, 31, 32.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. So that's so. What does drought mean in Zambia?
Yeah, absolutely. It's devastating. That's what it means. What happens? They have a season where they can grow, and that season is determined by rainfall. Now, that rainfall has usually been very, very predictable until climate change has affected when those rains come. So as soon as the rain comes, they start planting so that they can grow. But because of this year, we have the El Nino effect,
right,
which is enlarged because of climate change.
Yeah.
It's now affected Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and suddenly you have a really intense heat, which is actually burning the crops as they stand.
Oh my goodness, that's really hard. And have you seen the effect on that? Have you seen what that burning the crops means?
Yeah, the widows that we've been helping.
Sorry, you said widows.
Widows.
Well, where have the men gone?
A lot of them have passed away because of AIDS.
Wow.
Zambia has one of the highest rates of AIDS in Africa.
So we're working a lot with widows?
Yeah, there's 40 widows in this one village.
My goodness.
I've been to a village where there's no men in the village itself. It's all women and children. So it's really hard on them. They've had to relearn how to live as a community and support each other.
So I'm interested in that burnt crop.
Yeah.
Just explain what that would look like. I mean, I can't imagine what that would be.
Oh, imagine a maize stalk or green vegetation growing to a really...
Like corn on the cob.
Corn on the cob.
But
and they grow, 6 foot high.
Yeah.
And then you start to see it browning from the bottom up until all you have is the whole stalk turning into dust, basically.
And the corn on the cob, or the maize, is the actual staple diet of the people.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, that's incredible. What and so no men in the villages, no crop.
Yeah.
What do we do to help? How do we help?
I've been out there,
Yeah.
so I've been looking at how we can actually improve the way that they farm for working in drought-affected areas.
Great.
So rather than thinking about this is the way it's always been, this is the way we've always farmed, is now changing the way they farm. We're looking at water provision, as well as actually maintaining the crops in a better way.
What about kids in school? Is there anybody in kids in school? Have you experienced of any individuals that you've seen and how they've experienced and coped with life there?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of them are on medication because the children themselves are affected through birth with AIDS, so they're on a continuous medication. So unless they have a healthy diet, the medication doesn't work. So a poor diet will... I've seen women who have been affected by AIDS and the medication not working. But when we feed them with this high nutrition meal that we provide, I've seen them within a few days walking and laughing and joking.
Any particular success stories?
Yeah, Tammy, she's an extremely bright young lady. Met her when she was 15 and in the school that we're hopefully providing these buildings for. She's disabled. She was in a wheelchair when we met her. She's now walking on crutches, and she's one of the children we asked, well, what's your hope and dreams? And she initially said, I want to have a shop where I can actually afford money, thinking only up to her ability with her disabilities to actually do something. Yeah. And actually just have this small little shop to work from. Then says, really, what is your real dreams? And she wanted to be a doctor. Well, we thought, okay, that's not realistic.
She's 15, yeah?
Yeah.
She was
15. So we worked through that. We actually inquired with her abilities whether she could go to medical college. The medical college accepted her on the provision of learning what she could do with her disabilities. And they suggested working in pharmacy, where she could actually sit and do all the paperwork and do the medications and everything. So we supporting her through college. She's now in her third year, last term of college. And this is a real success.
Yes.
Of actually taking somebody who... the school is really for those kids who their families couldn't afford them to go to a state school. They couldn't even afford £10 a term to send them to school.
Yeah, and this is what's caught on for you, isn't it, Gavin?
Coming back on this, what are the life chances for children with disabilities in a place like Mazabuka?
Zero. Yeah.
So this is transformational change for somebody like...
Yeah, and it's rethinking for them as a community as well. To bringing hope for other kids who might have disabilities as well. The success rate in the school has gone from 30 to 40% to 85%.
Terrific.
Because of proper food programs within the school as well as the education.
So now coming back to the school that you're going to visit there, what's the problem there and why are we raising money for it?
The school has become so successful that 3 classrooms is no longer enough to hold the amount of kids. So we need to actually double the school size. Also, the government have said that unless we do that, then we might have to close the school down because it has to...
It's not just about building the school, is it? It's also about providing facilities, IT and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we have to put a steel bunker of a shed to hold the IT equipment in so they don't get stolen. So a container that is lockable and as well as the IT. But it also means that we've got to put agricultural teaching into the place as well as the 3 classrooms.
So the stuff that Gav's going to do on his coast-to-coast walk, what do you think he's going to be providing for there, Gav?
Well,
you
this
get
is
your
all
fundraise
linked
soon?
in. So we think the cost of, or we've been told that the cost of doing all this school development, because effectively we've got to double the size of the school, I think.
Absolutely.
Pretty much, because at the moment they're trying to educate twice as many children in the classes they've got. I think what they're doing at the moment is giving them half days, aren't they, instead of full day lessons. So the kids are not even getting the length of lesson that they need to be fully educated.
Right.
What we want to do is raise £60,000 not only to double the size of the school, but to put the infrastructure in. I think it was quite telling that just over 3 weeks or so ago, we got an urgent appeal from the headmaster of the school saying, we've had a visit by the local authority, by the local education authority, and we don't have enough tables for the children, and so we need tables. We were able to send a little bit of money across to do that, to get them out of the current situation.
Yeah.
But we need to solve this problem long term. So that is the purpose of the walk, is to walk 200 miles to raise £60,000 on my 60th birthday, as part of the work that we're doing in Zambia at the moment. So please support it.
Yeah, feedthehungry.org.uk, and you'll find all the details on that. Thanks, Gav.
Thank you.
So we're moving on now to a story of transformation in this country. This is at the heart of the matter. The interview is with Denise, and Denise is someone who works at Feed the Hungry, but her story from her angle will be told now.
7 months ago, my life completely imploded. My whole world was turned upside down when I had a very stable, loving marriage, and he just upped and left. Went home one day, all his stuff was packed, he was just gone. So I was completely, utterly devastated, shattered, broken, couldn't understand why. I really didn't want to carry on. That's when I realised I'd been isolated over the last 18 years. Slowly, people had drifted away. I'd got no friends, no family, and I was, completely, utterly on my own, and it was scary. It got to the point where what little bit of food we had got left in the house ran out. I hadn't eaten for over a week because I was trying to give my child the little bits that we'd got left, food. We couldn't survive. He was the main wage earner, so that was all gone. I just happened by chance to fall upon, I was visiting a friend, and she told me about a local food bank. I didn't want to go. I was a 50-plus woman that had everything, had, perfectly stable, loving marriage, to having nothing, and a food bank was not for me. I didn't want to go. I shouldn't be there. I walked in and recognised a face, and this poor lady, she just said hello, and I'd recognised her, and I just ran out. I was very embarrassed to be there, but luckily for me, she came after me. She did. She threw her arms around me and then took me back inside for a cup of tea, and we had a nice little chat. After receiving the food parcel, I went a few times, just a couple more, and I then heard about the local community pantry. Never heard of it before, and despite living in the village for 16 years, didn't know it was there. But got the courage to go, and it's the best thing I ever did. I was in the house to start with, but then things took a sinister turn, and we had a phone call from the council. We had to move. We were no longer safe in our own home. So they gave us half an hour to just pack up what we could and get out. And we had to literally, it was timed 30 minutes, and they put us in a safe house. We'd even left pets behind because we hadn't got time to relocate them. It was just horrendous. It was.
So you're in a safe house, emergency food parcel, but then the pantry came along and you went along to the community pantry. What happened when you got there?
That was my lifeline. I got my self-respect and dignity back because there were smiling faces and you had a choice. You felt more human. They gave you a cup of tea, they gave you something to eat if you wanted it, and they gave you a shoulder to cry on. They also have people there that can help you to understand why you're in the situation you're in. After visiting a few times, I was so grateful for the help and the support that I'd received. I wanted to give something back, and I felt I had to give something back. So I became a volunteer. I went into the warehouse and prepared wagons and filled them with food for the community. Did a few training sessions and then went out talking to people, listening to people, how they'd listened to me. I'd just been given a whole new life. It's there as an immediate solution. People really don't realise that it's not just food they need. It is fantastic. You get on that wagon and you are given a choice. You're not handed a parcel. You join as a member and you pay a £5 per visit. And then when you get on board, you're given enough food to last 3 or 4 days. Yeah, it's a mobile pantry, a little bit like a mobile shop. And there's a whole range of food on there. I struck it lucky. I was offered a job, but I don't see it as a job. I see it as a calling. I've come home. It's given me a purpose to get up in the morning. I get up, I help other people that were in my situation and obviously different situations. We give them food, we listen to them, and we give them a reason to get up in the morning. We do. I'm not just somebody's mum, somebody's wife, I'm a person again. I have found there is a huge community out there. For 16 years I didn't talk to my neighbours, was never allowed to open the door and let them in. To being able to go out saying, come on in, have a cup of tea. I can go and visit them and have a cup of tea. I can come and go to the pantry to have a cup of tea and a chat. I can go to other people's houses and not feel guilty, not feel questioned, and basically live a life again and start smiling. And that's what the community pantry has given me.
I'm sure you'd agree with me that quite a unique, life-changing and transformational story from Denise there. Gav, what did you think of that?
Well, I've met Denise. I know Denise really well now. It's a privilege, really, to meet somebody who's been through that kind of harrowing story, but to see their lives changed through an interaction with some of the projects that we're doing in the UK. As strong as some of the changes that we've seen with people like Tammy out in Zambia, that somebody connects with a pantry, volunteers for the pantry, then starts to work with us and sees their lives transformed, not just by connecting with the pantry, but also in the relationship with Jesus as well. And it is fabulous. This is at the very heart of what we do. Denise's story, Tammy's story, runs right to the heart of what Feed the Hungry does.
Thanks for that, Gav. And just to let you know, in our next episode, we'll be packing a million meals. Well, not quite literally, but talking about what that means.
Could I just say I look really good in Lycra?
We'll be finding out about a Nourish bar that is very nourishing. But to finish, I told you about, at the start of the show, about a 16th century aphrodisiac. And Gavin, I believe you brought them in today.
I have, Chris. I think our viewers will understand that the collective age around this table is something in excess of 183 years. I'm not going to tell you which of us is the older, but he is the most brightly dressed as well. and at this time of life, we all need to reapproach our libido. So I think I found the ultimate solution in the world-famous artichoke. Now, we mentioned this earlier in some of our earlier episodes, but today we have brought artichokes in for both Gwyn and for Chris to test. If you would like to try this one, which has got...
Artichokes with garlic and parsley.
This one is char-grilled artichokes, which I'm passing over to Gwyn. I mean, they do say don't work with animals and artichokes.
Okay, do we take a bite?
Yes.
Taste test?
Taste test. Okay.
So the history, or some of the history, I mean, this is a food of the gods, gentlemen, is that in the 16th century, this was very much prized by men because of its aphrodisiacal qualities. I try saying that when you've had a bit to drink. And women were restricted from having it. So what do you think, Chris? Did you enjoy that?
I really liked it. Yeah, very good. The oil, I can do without.
We could probably drain the oil off.
The artichoke.
Not very tasty.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Gentlemen, would you like to swap it round?
Yes, come on.
Okay.
Okay.
Just it's the oil put me off on that.
Yeah.
But the actual artichoke is good.
Okay.
I'll try this one again. So what are you supposed to have it with, Gav?
Artichokes, very traditionally, an artichoke plant is boiled up for about 30 minutes. And then you would peel the leaves off and eat the bottom, the soft bit of the leaves with butter. Until you got to the artichoke heart. What you've got here is the artichoke hearts. But, Chris, I have a whole book of recipes in my bag in the other room.
Thanks.
If you're that enthusiastic about them, then I can loan you the book.
Bring me a bag quick before I puke.
And that, folks, is the end of the artichoke of the matter. See you next time.